Hi everyone, SardisGuy123 here, and today I am going to be reviewing The Legacy of Death. Paradox Planet was released last month. I listened to it last month, I loved it last month, and I reviewed it last month. And I still love it this month, by the way, just in case you thought I was going to throw a twist in there. But anyway, it was the first part of a two-part story, or the first two parts of a four-part story, to be more specific. And yeah, those second two parts are The Legacy of Death. And, you know, sometimes with the Fourth Doctor Ventures, they do like to throw these curveballs, make the second release quite different from the first. But no, this one very much continues in the same vein. It feels very much like the same story. It feels very much like a four-part story rather than two-part stories interconnected, which does beg the question, why release it in two separate discs and have it cost 22 quid as opposed to the standard 15 quid for a four-part story? But ignoring that, let's take away the Paradox Planet for a second here and look at what we have packaging wise. You have K9 on the front there, who steps into quite a big role in this story actually. You have the Doctor there. I'm not sure who that is in the middle. It's either Drang or another character whose name I forgot, and we'll quickly check. Embry. It's either Drang or Embry, but I'm pretty sure it's Drang. And there you also have Romana, written by Jonathan Morris, featuring Simon Rouse, Tom Chabden, Emma Campbell-Jones, with John Leeson as K9. Flipping out to the side there, you can see same stuff really. Nothing too surprising on the back. Ely, you got your blurb and your cast. Opening it up now. I show you disc there. Take away the disc now, and you can see behind it you have advertised for the first three stories from this series. Looking a little bit bare there, but no, we'll forgive that. Taking out the booklet now, if I can. We have, struggling a bit here. There we go. It's out now. No, it isn't. Good lord, this is far more there we go. We have the front cover again, and the reversible cover, which has a nice bit of text, but not so nice logo. It just doesn't work for me personally, but maybe it'll work for some of you who like having that sort of thing there. There is an advertisement for the next release, Gallery of Ghouls by Alan Barnes. Not overly anticipating that one, but not looking forward to it either. I don't know. And there is some other stuff right there. So that was your little look at how this release was presented, and dreading was the word I am looking for. I am not dreading the what I've forgotten its name now. Gallery of Ghouls, that was it. I'm not dreading Gallery of Ghouls, but I'm not overly looking forward to it either. Probably went a bit too much detail into that, but anyway, Legacy of Death as a story now, and you know, now that I've got the full picture, I'm pretty much going to be reviewing both this story and Paradox Planet, unfortunately, because it is very much a four-part story. There's no two ways about it. It is just a four-part story spread over two separate releases. There's not much difference going on between them. So yeah, let's just talk about the overall story, I guess, because it is very enjoyable. Continuing on with last month's release, there is still all the wonderful time travel stuff, and it does tie together very nicely at the end here. I'm going to start the end by saying that the ending does very nicely work with the time travel. It still reaches a nice conclusion, because often with these sort of like stories that heavily involve time travel, because obviously for those of you who didn't know, this is a planet at war with itself through the time stream. You know, you've got the future attacking the past, and the past fighting back against the future. And actually, I'm going to say this before I continue on, I would recommend watching my Paradox Planet review and then coming back here. Probably should have said that a bit earlier, sorry. But yeah, anyway, if you want to go back and watch that, now's your opportunity now, and then come back here. So then, as I was saying, it is nice that all the time travel does tie together quite nicely, but it still provides a nice conclusion, because often you sort of like reach the conclusion of the story, but then you still have some mysteries and some time travel things to sort out at the end. But no, not with this one. With this one, things tie together quite nicely, quite neatly, and it all works out, coming together very well. You've got a big cast for this one, like you did for the last one. I mean, look at all of them there, a lot more than you usually get for these releases. Maybe having it spread across 2 releases helps in that respect. But yeah, I think it is nice to have such a big cast. It does help to create this cinematic quality that they're going for. It is this big epic war story, but at the same time it's sort of like tempered in a way that would work for Doctor Who at that time with season 17. You can imagine them doing this, not necessarily well on that budget, but passably on the budget they had then. And you know, it's not something that they'd view as overly ambitious, but ambitious enough for them to give it a go. And yes, Jonathan Morris did say that he was writing this as if Douglas Adams was still around today, how he would view the world, and you know, he comes up with quite a dark, serious tale in that people in the future, how would they look back on us for using up all the resources, really. And that is very much explored further here in this story. And it's, once again, quite a dark story, especially the conclusion to the story is quite dark. Reminds me of something I can't quite put my finger on though, and Tom Baker does give a wonderful performance, especially at the end there during that final scene. And you know, he has some wonderful lines and delivers them wonderfully as well. Jonathan Morris and Tom Baker, writer and actor duo, do go very nicely together, and there are some quite nice bits during here as well. So despite it being during that season 17 season where everything wasn't taken too seriously, the first 2 stories of this series were very much in that vein in a lot of ways, although Labyrinth of Buddha Castle did take itself quite seriously in the threat as well, and having the series villain. It's a review for another day. But this one, at the same time, takes itself extremely seriously, really. It knows that it's trying to show a serious message. Doesn't mean there's not fun to be had here, though. There are quite a few laughs, quite a few giggles to be had along the way, and you know, overall it is a bit of a romp, so you do get enjoyment out of it in that sense, really. And yeah, obviously with these war stories, there is always that to go on as well. So yeah, I do like that aspect of the story. Talk about more of the main cast. We already talked about Tom Baker, so let's talk about Lala Ward now, who does a very good job in this story. Her character of Romana is sort of reduced to the sidelines in the second half now. I mean, she played quite a big role in the Paradox Planet, but here her role is slightly reduced, unfortunately. Still gets to do some good stuff though. And then also K9 appears as well, and he gets to step up here. And I remember Jonathan Morris saying in one of the interviews around this that he viewed it as the Doctor, Romana and K9, they were the TARDIS crew. It wasn't the Doctor, Romana and occasionally they bring K9 along. He didn't like that stories in this sort of like era would sometimes write K9 out and just have him as a get out of jail free card in some cases. And you know, I can agree with that, really. You know, sometimes K9 wasn't used to his full potential, but here Jonathan Morris proves that he's more than just a get out of jail free card and whatnot, more than just a cheap excuse, more than just a sonic screwdriver. He is a character in his own right, and Jonathan Morris has written him beautifully here. There are some funny scenes with him, there's also some quite serious scenes with him, and ultimately this story wouldn't work without K9. This story wouldn't function because it utilises something that is very crucial to him as a character, in that he doesn't age. You know, he will remain the same throughout however much time passes, 1,000 years, and that's mild spoiler there, but you know, I think you may be able to put some pieces together from that, and I don't feel it's too big a spoiler at least. I don't think I've ruined anything for you, but yeah, that is something that is very unique, so it can only really be done on K9, and especially in this time travel story, I think that was a very smart route to go down by Jonathan Morris. And yes, let's talk about Embry now, who is the character played by Simon Rouse. No, maybe it was Tom Chabden actually. Yeah, it was Tom Chabden who played him, who also appeared in City of Death as everyone's favourite Duggan. But yeah, here he plays Embry, and Embry is quite an interesting character. Doesn't get as much to do as he did in the Paradox Planet, unfortunately. But he still gets some interesting stuff to do, and then at the same time you have Drang, who's played by Simon Rouse, who previously appeared in Kinder, and he does a very good job here with that character, makes him very interesting, and you know, it's quite an interesting character. And you can see both Drang and Embry's points of views here. You can see why they would feel the way they do, and at the same time they're sort of victims of circumstance in some ways because of this sort of like because of the time travel aspect sort of unfolding in on itself and whatnot. And there's actually a line in this synopsis, I believe, where it's just like the pieces of history are locking into place. Ah yes, here it is. As the pieces of history lock into place, bottom of the second paragraph there. It's a wonderful little line there, and you know, it sums up a lot of this story brilliantly, and that was quite nice to witness take place before my ears. Yeah, I think that's quite interesting as well, as who can you really put the blame on? It's quite interesting that aspect when you think about who to blame here, who's the bad guy, who's the good guy. And you know, I think ultimately, while there are antagonists in this story, there's no one who's really bad. Everyone has their reasons for what they do, and that's what makes good villains and good heroes and everything. And ultimately, it's not like the past is evil and the future's on the side of good, or the future's evil and the past on the side of good. There are both good guys and bad guys on both sides. And it's very intelligently written by Jonathan Morris, and I very much would like to congratulate him for this amazing release. It is a very good 4-part story, and you know, Legacy of Death does tie everything together very nicely at the end here. So for the moment, I think I'm just gonna have to go. I'm struggling here. I can't decide between 10 or 9. But yeah, it is a very good story. I highly recommend picking this one up. Definitely pick up Paradox Planet first though, because you need to have listened to both of them to really get the full picture. As I said, it is a full-on 4-part story, not 2 linked 2-part stories. So yes. You know what, since it's a 4-part story, I'm going to rate it as a 4-part story. I am going to rate it 9 out of 10 overall. Both these releases together, that is. Individually, I can't say. I did give Paradox Planet an individual rating, but yeah, you know, that was before I'd listened to Legacy of Death. So, overall, and now, not overall, I've already done the overall. In conclusion, is what I meant to say, although is there really a difference between the two? I don't know, but yeah, go pick these 2 up, do yourself a favour, pick them up, or pick up the entirety of Season 5 of the 4th Doctor Adventures. So far it has been brilliant. The first 4 episodes, first four releases rather, have been amazingly well written and just a lot of fun. Tackle some serious issues as well, and you know, it really is. It's been a good series so far. So well done to everyone involved. Can't wait to see what the second half has in store. And yeah, thankful for watching this review, everyone. Next review will be The Web of Fear. Hope you're all looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to rewatching it. And yeah, I keep saying overall, it's becoming a curse. But yeah, thank you all for watching, everyone, and I will see you all when I review The Web of Fear. But until then, bye everyone.
I am an ambassador from the future, from Era 24, sent here to negotiate peace.
There can be no peace while your people send raiders to steal our endangered species and crystals.
They're going on the offensive!
Makina, preserve us! Commence time dive.
All galleons, synchronize for time dive. 4, 3, 2, 1.
I've just had word from our agent in the command bunker. They say the Doctor's been captured, along with another man from the past.
Doctor? Romana mentioned a doctor.
Romana, where is she?
Conduct Romana to the altar. She is to be granted an audience with Makina.
Disobey the will of Makina is forbidden.
In that case, I wouldn't dream of keeping it waiting.
She claimed to have detailed knowledge of time travel.
She did?
So perhaps you would care to share that knowledge with me?
Oh no. The Doctor didn't agree to help Embry, did he?